everyone! Today is September 14th, so happy Halloween! Happy fall! This is my favorite time of year. When I went to Goodwill the other day, everything was out for Halloween and I was so happy. So this time has come. Today I'm going to do the Finally Fall book tag. I'm wearing my black cat earrings, so fall is upon us. Should I have worn my pumpkin earrings? I'll switch halfway through. Disregard that. Anyway, the first question on this tag is, in the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. Okay, so for this I've chosen Warcross by Marie Lu. Warcross is a sort of sci-fi fantasy-esque type book, like futuristic in a way. It starts in New York City, but the majority of the book is set in Japan. So about a girl named Amika who's a bounty hunter in New York City, but she spends her sort of free time being a fan of this virtual reality game that is the biggest game in the world. It is like supposed to be bigger than the Olympics, it's supposed to be bigger than the Super Bowl, it's supposed to be bigger than everything. Everyone plays this, and it's called Warcross. And she is, ever since her dad died, she's really struggling financially. And on the opening night for this season of the Warcross competition, she accidentally puts herself in the game. And so then the whole world finds out about her, and then the creator of the game, who's this like very young, very successful genius, he invites her to go into the game and to come to Japan and be on one of the teams, but also be his spy, because he knows she's very tech savvy and there's something going on in the world that he thinks is suspicious, and so he recruits her to sort of be his spy. But the world is so vivid, not only just Japan. Japan is a stunning setting for this book, and I feel like I'm there when I am reading it, but also the virtual worlds, like when they're in the virtual reality game. It's so vivid. The detail and the writing in this book are seriously amazing in terms of how they put you in the setting. I recently found out that I think this is being optioned for TV, and I think that's amazing. I don't know how the heck they're gonna do it, but I think it'd be amazing. When I was reading it, it felt like I was watching a movie in terms of how cinematic it was, and I was like, wow, this would be a good movie because the setting is so vivid. It would take amazing CGI to do it, but anyway, that's what I've chosen for this question. The next question is, in fall, nature is beautiful but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written but also deals with a heavy topic. For this, I've chosen Beloved by Toni Morrison. It is a beautifully, beautifully written story, but it is extremely heavy and extremely dark. It is about a woman named Setha who is dealing with extreme grief and loss and fear, and it deals with slavery, it deals with grief and loss, and deals with losing children and race relations and racism and discrimination, and it is a beautiful story that I think everyone should read, and it's beautifully written. Toni Morrison is a stunning writer, but it deals with some very heavy topics, but I really think that everyone should read it. Okay, number 3, fall is back to school season. Not for me. Okay. Share a nonfiction book that taught you something. This I've chosen White Rage by Carol Anderson. Every single page in this teaches me more than an entire month in AP US history. It is seriously so informative and eye-opening. It is about white rage is what it is. So in history or in life, we hear about these things that happened. We hear about the civil rights movement and Brown versus Board of Education as these like huge milestones that sort of just changed life, and it's not like they're not important, but what Carol Anderson really shows us is that progress isn't linear, which I think is the point. She says it in sort of the foreword about how it's not like these things happened and then everything was good and we took down racism one movement at a time. It really wasn't like that. What you don't learn about is the intense backlash and reaction and rage from white people anytime there was a hint of black advancement, and how that basically tried to make all of these things obsolete. And it just shows all these heartbreaking stories and infuriating stories about how white people, anytime there was a hint of black advancement, tried every single thing in their power, not just normal civilians, like judges and politicians and officers, to try to put things back to where it was. And like for an example, like, you know about the Great Migration. We know that in the early 20th century, hundreds of thousands of black people traveled from the South to the North in search for jobs and for better lives. But I never learned that white people would literally go on trains and arrest people and try to get trains to not issue tickets, and would literally stall trains by physical force or by arresting black people for vagrancy because they didn't want them to go to the North. And so that's just one small example. But anyway, this book taught me more than any history course I've taken. It was extremely eye-opening. Like, for instance, in Brown versus Board of Education, in that chapter, it wasn't talking about the case, really. Like, it wasn't talking about what led up to this, or in the civil rights movement, it wasn't talking about MLK. It wasn't talking about things like that. It was talking about really the aftermath and what happened and things we don't learn about that transpired in reaction to these big events. And that's why it taught me so much. Okay, the next question is, in order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people you love. Name a fictional family / household / friend group that you'd like to be a part of. For this, I've chosen the Renegades in the book The Renegades by Marissa Meyer. Their little pod, the main like friend group pod of superheroes kids, they're so funny and awesome and really look out for each other, and it would not be too shabby to have a bunch of friends that could kill you, or could transform into a bunch of butterflies, or could, what can the other people do? Use their blood to shoot blood crystals at a bitch. Thank you, AT&T, for texting me about my monthly courtesy credit. Yeah, they're a super awesome friend group, and I would love to be a part of them. Number 5, the colorful leaves are piling up on the ground. Show us a pile of fall-colored spines. Okay, so I went through... Shut the fuck up. Okay, so I went through my bookshelves and I found the fallest spines I could find. Here they are. We got some red, some orange, some yellow, some brown. I have Felix Ever After by Case and Calendar. Question of Homes by Brittany Carvalaro. Glee, The Beginning, an original novel. Don't question why I have that. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, The Long Haul by Jeff Kinney. And War Horse by Michael Morpurgo. So, diverse and beautiful. Okay, number 6. Fall is the perfect time for some storytelling by the fireside. Share a book wherein somebody is telling a story. Okay, for this I have chosen 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. The whole book is primarily a story. It is about a woman named Evelyn Hugo, who is this old, extremely famous Hollywood starlet who was very big in like the 50s, 60s, 70s. And this is her first time ever giving an interview in a while, and she decides to give it to this new writer at this magazine, and the writer's very confused about why she chose her to tell her life story to, but she does. And so the whole book is mostly Evelyn talking to this reporter and telling her her life story, and it is beautiful and compelling and rich and is one of my favorite books ever. And the story aspect just makes it even better. You feel like you're just talking to her. She feels like a real person, and it is fantastic. Okay, number 7. The nights are getting colder. Oh, I lied. Number 7. The nights are getting darker. Share a dark, creepy read. Okay, for this I've chosen Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. It is about a girl who gets invited to Yale to be a student, but to also be this mentee of a mentor who, in this institution that regulates all the magic of and magical doings of all the secret societies at Yale. There's murder, there's ghosts, there's really creepy magic, and it is eerie and it's awesome. It's very dark academia and it is very spoopy. Okay, 8. Days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could warm up somebody's cold and rainy day. For this, I've chosen The Prince and the Dressmaker by Jen Wang. It is a YA graphic novel. It is so beautiful and so heartwarming. It is shooting serotonin straight into my eyeball. Heartwarming. It is fantastic. It is about a prince who is supposed to marry a woman and do his whole thing and find a suitor. So that's like his princely duties. But at night he actually dresses up in drag. His drag alter ego is named Lady Crystalia. And so it's him dealing with identity and his duties and being afraid to show who he really is, and he enlists the help of a dressmaker named Francis to design him dresses and costumes for Lady Crystalia. And it is about their friendship and their relationship and what they do for each other, and it is so sweet. And it's short because it's a graphic novel. It's beautiful. The art is beautiful. If you're looking for just a quick thing to make you feel better about the world, I highly recommend The Prince and the Dressmaker. Okay, the last question is, fall returns every year. Name an old favorite that you'd like to return to soon. For this, I've chosen Percy Jackson / The Kane Chronicles because Rick Riordan just announced that Kane Chronicles might be coming to TV, and I don't even know how to deal with this news, but that just made me want to reread it. I already wanted to reread Percy Jackson because it's been a hot minute and I love it so much, but now that the Kane Chronicles is coming to film, I should reread those too. So that is definitely on my list of stuff I want to return to soon. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great fall. Happy Halloween!